I feel like we have a lot more empathy when it comes to fakers when they are like 9 years old versus, doing it when you're an adult, because when you're a kid, you can't like make the same decisions that you can make when you're an adult. While the motives might be the same, desire to fit in, validation, perhaps attention, which isn't always a bad thing, right? I mean, if someone is seeking attention, that might mean that they aren't getting attention in other ways. The point is that kids get on social media, and the more that time goes on, I'm sure the younger it gets. A lot of us, when we see things on the internet that might be glamorized or over-exaggerated, it's easy for us to make that connection, but for kids, it's much less easy. The stories we're going to be talking about today absolutely are not the fault of these people. They're so remorseful, but it's like this actually was more a result of like society. At the same time, I do appreciate that they're taking responsibility for their actions. That's a lot more than the adults who fake it can say, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of these stories are from kids. Like, why are kids more likely to come out about these things? It's like weird. It's crucial to see how this can impact young minds and perhaps lead to mimicry of such disorders. Let's get into our two stories.
'Cause everything I ever thought I was made me cry. Yeah, suddenly you realize that everything you'd ever told yourself were lies.
I'm hoping that this is an appropriate place to put this, but in the past, I have faked DID. I didn't do it too publicly as I feared shame from it or anyone in my real life circle. I just honestly don't want to keep this in, but around the age of 9 to 11, I had Instagram. I met someone and ended up dating. Can I just cut you off there for a second? So you're saying that you are 9 to 11 years old? Even thinking about that is an extreme difference from a 12-year-old faking a 9-year-old. We aren't still dating, thankfully. But at the time, one of the multiple breakups, they said I acted like I had multiple personalities, and I looked into it and said, oh, I do have this because I can. I went with it, and some of my friends online were doing it too. So I was trying to be like them because I thought they were so cool. I did what most fakers did through the ages of 11 to 13. My online friends said I had a Tommy Innit altar, and that multiple Rabus, a Kid 1 and everything, and a Roman Sanders 1 too. Something else that strikes me is that this person says that they were a child, someone told them that they have this disorder, and also all of their friends are faking it. They're acknowledging that this was fun for them, so what is keeping you from faking it at that point? It's hard to make the moral decision, especially at that age. It might be hard to understand, but when everyone around you is doing something, it makes it a lot easier. I claimed I heard voices. I probably did. It was my own thoughts, maybe intrusive ones that I was hearing, but it wasn't anything like DID. I was trying to convince myself that they were, even if they weren't sometimes. I decided to do it once when I was in 7th grade during tech class, acting like Roman came out, and I deserved that controller to the robot acting childish, and it was not fun. Although, as I'm finally coming to be a sophomore and 15 in October, I have to say I have grown out of it, but it is so easy to get brainwashed by stuff because calling them out is good, but they all support each other and act like it's okay, when it's really not, and I feel horrid for faking it. I did go out and start going to a therapist, so anything from now on, I'll have a diagnosis. I just honestly wanted to get this off my chest because I feel guilty. It's interesting how a lot of these cases of DID faking are for creativity and self-exploration. It seems like faking can kind of check different boxes for you. You know, you're not getting attention from someone you're supposed to, so that's one, and then also creativity. Definitely looking back at my friend group in middle school, if someone had introduced the idea of DID and everyone was faking it, I don't want to know. I really don't want to know what I would do. Luckily, back then, I was writing Luke Korn's. Does anyone remember him? I was writing fan fiction about him. You? Not you to Luke, as in you, I'm sorry that that happened.
I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. I love you so much, DeQuishieri.
I love you too, baby. No offense, but you're a lot uglier in real life.
The point is that you grew out of it. You're saying, oh, I'm a sophomore now, I'm matured. It's like people are 30, 40 years old still doing this. Kids haven't had the same life experiences as adults. Children make mistakes and it's great to learn from it, but it's like now everything is on the internet and people are actually it's just a huge rabbit hole. For example, I used to walk around pretending I had a British accent. That's slightly cringy. I think that this story did a good job at explaining how peer influence can really affect a person. And since they faked for such a short amount of time, it seems like they didn't really want to fake in the first place. Children are highly influenced by their peers and trends around them. If they see others talking about certain disorders or conditions, they might mimic the behaviors to fit in or seem cool. This doesn't necessarily mean they fully understand the implications. Faking a disorder could be an escape from academic pressures, social difficulties, or even family problems. It might seem like a way to avoid facing these challenges directly. Understanding why children might simulate disorders requires us to look below the surface level. As adults online, it's our job to guide them, provide authentic information, and create an environment where they feel safe being authentic. 4 years ago, when I was around 12, I faked DID. I do feel it would be good to write about this, although it's a little difficult to speak on as I can't remember much, and it happened in about the span of possibly less than a week. I want to get this off my chest and most importantly, apologize the best that I can do. Please let me know if it is at all rude for me to say this. I truly wish I could do something back for the DID community, for what I did, for taking on the disorder so lightly and acting as if it was nothing but a fun trait. I want to do anything I can to make up for what I did, even if it's small. So if anyone here does have DID, please feel free to speak on your experiences if you feel comfortable. Educate me and suggest anything I can do to help out the community. Again, I really do hope this isn't rude to say or comes across as anything related to feeling sorry for myself. I can't imagine how truly debilitating it is to live through such a complex disorder. What I did was beyond hurtful and was a gross way of feeling a sense of likability within myself. I'm so incredibly sorry to those who truly have DID for the hurt I spread and the cruelty of my actions. What I did was never okay and never will be okay. And I want to apologize the best I can for that. I would like to speak on this ever since it's been eating me up inside. I can't ever forgive myself for what I did and the level to which it was incredibly disrespectful to the DID community. OP should be proud of yourself. You're talking on a public platform about a mistake you made. That's more than most adults can say. When I was around 12, around 4 years ago, I was fascinated by DID. Although I can't remember if I knew it as DID. I may have known it as multiple personality disorder, but I struggle to remember. It stemmed from this one theory video, quite an ill-informed and cliche one at that. It perpetuated the stereotype that those with DID are murderers and somehow dangerous. The video I remember really interested me. So I started watching a couple videos and a documentary and thought, wow, how cool does that sound? It's like characters, but in your head. How fun and cool. It sounds super likable, and maybe if I had that, my friends would find me like super interesting. For context, I love making characters and stories, and I still do. It's calming for me, and it's an escape in away from reality. So the idea that I could become characters and incorporate myself was mind-blowing for me. Better, I thought my friends would find it super interesting and would want to talk to me more. So I went about and made versions of myself around 5, which I called my personalities. I would act them out in school, tell my friends, and even gave them names. I even drew them at some point. It got to a point where I told my father. I told him about how I was splitting personalities and I couldn't remember what happened. In order to feel like I was super cool and interesting, like I was my characters. Of course, my parents were especially skeptical. And it was only possibly almost a week later where my mom had a chat with me and explained that DID was much more extreme and debilitating than what I thought it was. That completely turned the tide for me, and I realized the severity of what I was actually doing. I saw DID as nothing more than playing characters. I love making and playing characters, so it must be all fun and games and completely lighthearted, right? Well, no, that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm so sorry for what I have done. It was an especially ill-formed and horrid thing to do, and I genuinely can't proper forgive myself for it. I know I was young, but man, was that the cruelest thing I could ever do. I can't imagine how it would feel if someone took on one of my afflictions and made it out to be a game, let alone how it would feel for someone with something as complex and heartbreaking as DID. I will never know what it's like to live with DID, and I have no right to go and treat it as if it was a game or make-believe. I truly apologize for what I did, and I'm still trying to educate myself the best I can on the subject of DID. I hope this is worded okay, and again, I hope this isn't rude to post. Have a nice day, my friends, and thank you for listening in. If you struggle to understand why a kid would fake DID, think about how they've never heard about DID before. People with DID commented on this post and talked about how they were young and naive. They didn't have the resources to understand the illness. You might not have realized how harmful it can be to the people who have it, and you stopped faking it. The reward will be understanding your behaviors and grow from these experiences. These parents are based for sitting you down and talking about it. It sounds like at first they didn't really understand what DID was, and they came back with research. Probably found all of these like kids' psychogenic illness online thing and they were like, oh, well, that makes sense. This person didn't have ill intentions, and for them, it was all fun and games. Once you realized you were making a mistake, you quickly backed down. Parents, educators, and caregivers play a crucial role in shaping their child's perspective. Encouraging open conversations about differences, acceptance, and importance of understanding can help children develop a more informed and empathetic worldview. I feel like it's important for us to have empathy about people coming out about faking disorders no matter their age, because it teaches people that it's okay to come forward. If we are hateful towards people who come out about thinking they had it or who blatantly faked it, it makes other people be like, oh, well, I can't come out about faking it then because I'll just get hate. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. I think that it's definitely less these children to blame and more the way it's being glamorized on social media. I think that these kids are a blatant result of that, actually. Make sure to comment below your favorite month. Mine is probably like October because Halloween and also my birthday. Make sure to comment below. It helps with the algorithm. I appreciate it so much. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky. Thank you so much to each and every one of my members. It seriously means the world to me. To everyone, have a good day, night, whatever the case may be, and peace out.
And suddenly you realize, yeah, that everything you ever told yourself were lies. And believe me, I can sympathize. Oh, still everything you ever thought you were made me cry. To be honest, it made me wanna die inside.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Why are you mowing? You just want cuddles? Is that all you wanted?